Hey everybody, it's Dr. V. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all had a great holiday if you celebrate. Just want to start off by saying, first of all, thank you to everybody who has liked, commented, subscribed. Those of you who have engaged with my channel, I just really appreciate it. All of the support and love. I also wanted to let you know that if you would like to subscribe to my mailing list, you can head over to the community tab and there's a link there that you can click, and that will give you access when I start sending out notices and special offers and different things like that. That'll give you access to that. So avail yourself to that if you're interested. If you would like to purchase a private reading, the information on how to do that is in the description box below. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I have coming up starting in January, there's also information about that as well. I'm really excited about that. I have been scheduling interviews with different experts, different twin flame experts who are I'm going to interview, and they'll be in the course. And so we've got one expert, for instance, on karmic relationships, and that's going to be really exciting. We're going to have a couple people who are in union with their divine love and who will talk about the lessons and what they've learned along the way. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give you all of that. I know it's a long intro, but it's all right. It's a free reading. You all can sit with it for a few minutes. So Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for communication. May the messages that come through be in the highest good of all those concerned. I draw a sacred circle around this space, setting my ego to the outside. I call upon my ancestors, ascended masters, divine love, higher wisdom, my counsel and guides, to be with me, guide these messages, protect this energy, protect the person who is listening and the person for whom they are listening. And so it is. So I don't know about you guys, but there has been a massive, massive energy shift that has taken place over the last few days. Yesterday, I went to the grocery store to pick up some things, and while I was there, I was led to go to the candle aisle, and I did. And on the shelf were two candles. Well, there was two different types, but there's a whole bunch of them. But the long and short of it is that it was the first, they were like, I guess, Catholic candles. One of them was St. Jude and one of them was Guardian Angels, and I felt led to buy both of them. I've never in my entire life purchased one of those candles. And so I brought it home, went about my business. Right before bed, I got prompted to light the St. Jude candle and to let it burn in a safe space, obviously, while I fell asleep. So I did, and I woke up after a few hours, blew it out, went back to sleep, and I slept for 12 hours. Like, I never sleep that long, but I slept hard, and I woke up and I literally felt like I had an energy upgrade, like my DNA completely shifted overnight in that sleep. I can't even explain to you how different the energy is. So if you have been struggling, or if you've been feeling at odds, I highly recommend that you listen to your guides and figure out what you're being prompted to do and do it, because it's massive energy shifts are happening right now if we allow ourselves to submit and surrender to it. Wow, interesting. Oh, by the way, I looked up Jude this morning, and St. Jude is the patron saint of desperate causes or lost causes, and brings peace to situations that are difficult, brings healing to people who are in pain, and helps people overcome challenging circumstances. So I suppose that's why I slept so well. So anyway. Mary Magdalene, this is the energy of the feminine. The feminine is in this goddess of strength. So Mary Magdalene, I've talked about her before. You've heard me say this, but she was like the quintessential badass. Mary Magdalene was the divine counterpart to Yeshua, Jesus, and she was by his side through all of it. She is, her role has been diminished a lot in modern Christianity. But she was really by his side the whole time. She was one of the apostles. She was one of his disciples. She was really paramount and transformational to Jesus's life. She also, if you remember, was by his side during the whole process of the crucifixion, and was also the first person who he revealed himself to after he had been resurrected. She was a badass. So the thing is that the feminine energy right now is in this space of really recognizing how strong they are. The feminines are really recognizing that we have a lot to offer. We're very strong. We have a lot of really powerful energy to bring. But there also is a time for rest. There's also time to take a pause and not have to feel like you need to be strong all the time. That sometimes there is great strength in resting. There's great strength in surrendering to the flow and letting yourself rest instead of feeling like you need to keep pushing ahead. It's a very feminine energy to be able to go into a space of rest and relaxation and rejuvenation. And it feels like a lot of the feminines are moving into that space of really saying like, I don't have to always be 110% on my game. I can take a rest and I can take a break. And that's a really powerful energy. It feels like the feminines are recognizing that there's also great, like we often think about strength as like in a forceful way, like Samson pushing down the pillars and knocking down the structure. But we forget that strength is also like water. Like water is very strong, and it doesn't have to be forceful. It doesn't have to be a tsunami. It doesn't have to be a hurricane to be forceful. Water in its gentle way, going down, you can wear a rock down. And I feel like that's what the feminines are understanding, that they don't have to always be forceful or feel like they have to charge ahead, but there is a certain power in being able to be strong in a feminine way. So the masculines, beautiful, are in this Thor energy. So Thor is a god of action. This is literally about people taking action, finally getting off their duff and doing something. This is an energy of somebody who is like, maybe the masculines, in this particular situation, maybe if this reading is resonating for you, your masculine might be in a space, or if you are the masculine, where you think a lot, you ponder a lot, you consider all of your options, you think things through, but you don't take a lot of action. Or you haven't in the past. So people in this, when they're not in this Thor energy, can be people who allow others to make decisions for them, who kind of passively participate in their life, and they're like, well, I didn't really have a choice because X, Y, and Z, and maybe give away their power, give away that sort of energy, giving it to other people, feeling powerless, feeling like they don't have a way. But now it's like the masculines are starting to understand that they do have choices and they do need to take action. This is like, okay, moving into direct action, moving toward life goals, taking matters into your own hands is what Spirit is saying. This is like, perhaps this is a person, I know this energy has come through in the past where it's been kind of waiting for the tower to fall, waiting for someone else to make the decision, waiting for somebody else to be the one to pull the plug. And now they're starting to understand, like, look, if I continue to wait forever for somebody else or some other energy to come in and shift things for me, I'm never going to get to where I need to go. And so they're learning to take action in their own lives. Interesting. So we have fear. Okay, that the shadow side of this connection right now is that people are facing their fears. People are needing to face whatever it is that they're afraid of. So for you, listener, it could be that you're afraid of surrendering and giving this connection into the hands of the divine and not feeling the need to pursue and to make things happen. It could be that you are fearful of being alone. Maybe you have abandonment issues. Maybe you have rejection issues. Nothing wrong with any of that stuff. We all have our stuff. It's just our responsibility to deal with it so that we can heal it and move forward. But somebody or both people are really facing a lot of fear. A lot of your fears are coming up to the surface to be dealt with. This is like anything that is coming up is to be healed. I posted something in the community tab earlier this week about the light of this kind of love shining. It's like a flashlight into the dark parts, and it comes up and it forces us into a space of healing. Well, it invites us rather into a space of healing. It's not forceful. It's an invitation, because we can choose not to go into that space and we can choose to stay exactly where we are. But if you don't face your fear, you're going to keep dealing with it over and over and over again. You're going to continue to manifest the circumstances that will make you eventually have to deal with it. So it's like you could avoid it for a while, but eventually you're going to have to face it. My vote is just face it, get it over with, work through it, and then move forward. Because the reality is that most of the time the things that we fear are not really that scary. We just think they are because they've become so big in our minds. It's like the what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you go through, like roller coasters. You go scary roller coasters and you have this fear of them, and then you get off of it at the end and you're like, yeah, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. That's what's going to happen for a lot of people. They're going to face their abandonment issues, dive into their rejection issues, face the things that they fear the most, and then come out of it and be like, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Wow. And so the light side of the connection is openness. So this is about openly accepting yourself, accepting others, accepting also that sometimes things aren't exactly the way that we think they should be. It's like open your heart and recognize that things can happen in a myriad of different ways. Love can come to you in 100 different forms, and it doesn't have to be just the way that we think it should or the way that we have it imagined in our head. This is saying that this connection, in spite of the pain, in spite of the difficulty, in spite of the hard times that people have experienced, what it has done is it has helped people to open their hearts. Now, it's easy to live with an open heart when you haven't been hurt. When you have been hurt, when you've had a lot of pain, a lot of things that have caused you hurt in your life, and you still can maintain an open heart against the odds, against you, in spite of what you've experienced, that's real spiritual mastery. When you can look at a situation and say, I'm not going to let this make me bitter or hateful or to close myself off to the world. I'm going to continue to be open and allow myself to experience love. And it's all in a mirror. It's all, gosh, I cannot talk right now. And it's all of its different ways of expressing itself. So that's a really positive thing. That's the thing about these kinds of connections, because it's teaching us how to love unconditionally, remember? So that's the important thing about that, is to remember that means that we're going to have to deal with some hard stuff. That doesn't mean that you put up with abuse or put up with those kinds of things. What it does mean is that you learn how to get into a space of non-attachment and love people exactly where they are on the journey, on the way to where they're going. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship with them. If they're being dishonest, if they're not, behaving with integrity, if they have been abusive or cheated or lied or whatever it might be, you don't have to be in a relationship with them, but you can still love them unconditionally, and that's a different kind of energy. But the whole thing is that in order to get to that space, we have to be able to love people even when they're not lovable, even when they're not behaving like kings or queens or divines. We still have to learn how to hold space for them and to love them regardless of what they're doing. So let's move this aside, and we're going to look at the connective energies. So that was the Divine, Feminine, and Masculine Reunited deck by Christabel Jessica. I believe it ships from Australia, so it takes some time to get to you, but I like it. And this deck is the Psychic Tarot of the Heart by John Holland. So if you're curious about what I'm using. So the overall connective energy right now between the two of you is find balance, opportunity beckons, and confront. Wow. Awesome. So here's the deal. This is, people are in a space of really needing to find their own sense of balance, their own sense of integration and wholeness in this journey. This isn't about anybody other than you. This is about you getting solid on your feet, you, the listener, and the other person, because you're both sharing. This is what's connecting you, is that both people are working on it. It's like if you've looked at your life and been like, okay, here's where I've been out of balance. Here's some things like I haven't been praying enough, or I haven't been working out enough, or I've been eating too much or drinking too much or spending too much time watching Netflix, whatever. Or on the other hand, working too much or spending way too much time focusing on this journey, spending tons of time watching YouTube videos or things like that is not also healthy. So this is literally about people getting into a space right now. Both of the people in this connection are working on finding balance. They're working to find this sense of where things are equal. They're not feeling out of whack anymore. It's that this is critical for personal growth and transformation. So we also have opportunity beckons. So here's the deal. In the traditional tarot, this card is one of feeling like you missed an opportunity, like an opportunity passed you by. But in this deck, in this particular interpretation, this is feeling like the opportunity is almost coming back around, or a new opportunity is coming. So this could be, for some of you, you may have gotten to a space where you're ready to move into a different connection. Maybe you're ready to look at a different situation. And you maybe in the past felt like the opportunity had passed you by, like that your connection with your beloved was the only way that it was going to come to pass, and it was like that was it. And now you're starting to recognize that, maybe I'm a little bit bored with this. Maybe I'm a little bit bored and feeling like I've spent too much time waiting. I've spent too much time hoping that they were going to come back around. And now I'm starting to realize that I need to do something different to move things forward in my life, to get to a different level, different energy. And so that's what people are looking at, like the ways in which they have become complacent in life. This is where a lot of this finding balance is coming from. It's like people are saying, okay, I've gotten out of whack in these ways. I've been out of balance. And now it's time for me to look at this and to examine what kind of life do I want to lead? What do I want to do going forward? It's like opening yourself up to recognizing that there are opportunities that are going to be available to you if you have to, but you're going to have to participate. This is the thing. It's Elizabeth Gilbert, I think it was in Eat, Pray, Love, that said, you have to participate relentlessly in the manifestation of your blessings. And that's the thing. If you haven't been participating relentlessly in the manifestation of your blessings and you're wondering why they're not happening, that's probably it. And that's not a judgment, okay? That there is no judgment in that whatsoever. It's just a call to action. So the thing of it is that if you're not doing your affirmations or participating in the energy clearings, or if all you're doing is sitting around waiting for something else to happen, it's like a miracle from the outside, that's really not going to be beneficial. This is not the time for complacency. This is a time for you to take action and to move things ahead. So if you're listening to this and this resonates for you, think about it. Think about the actions that you've been prompted to do that you haven't taken action on, and start doing it, because the opportunity is beckoning. There is something that wants to happen for you, but you've got to participate. You've got to do whatever it is that you've been guided to do. And this is a confront. This is the moon card in the traditional tarot. This is about really confronting your own shadow side. This is about looking at your darkness. I talked about this last week, I believe, but this is about facing your fears. Okay, if you look at this, it's like literally facing your fears, and fear came up earlier. So this is a person who is, both people in this connection are facing their freaking fears at this point. It's like no more running, no more hiding, no more sitting here and being like, oh my gosh, what if, what if I have to, what if my partner leaves, or what if this happens, or people are going to be like, whatever happens, but we're not going to continue to sit here and be passive and just like let our lives pass us by because we're too afraid to live. This is an energy of people getting to the space of wanting to take risks, getting past the illusions. Like I was saying earlier, that fear often is just an illusion. The thing that we fear is not real, I'm thinking about like last week, my son had to get a shot, and he was like starting to get himself worked up, and I was able to talk him back down and like help him with some mindful breathing. But we had talked afterwards, and I was like, was it as bad as you thought it was going to be? And he was like, well, it hurt, but it wasn't as bad. He's like, I think I was more afraid than what it was. And so that's what this is. Like, people are starting to understand and starting to face that maybe the thing that they're fearing isn't as bad as they anticipate it to be, and they're ready to start facing it and get beyond the illusion and start dealing with things. So what is the Divine Masculine bringing? We've got win or lose, sadness or isolation, sadness and isolation rather. So you see these blue cards, these are all thoughts. So the masculine in this situation has been very, very much in their headspace, very disconnected from their heart space right now. This win or lose, this is like, in order for one person to win, another person has to lose. They're seeing this as a zero-sum game. Whatever it is that they're dealing with, they're seeing it as the only way that this can happen is if I win, somebody else loses. And so it's keeping him stuck. It's keeping him feeling like this energy of conflict, feeling like I can't move forward, I can't do X, Y, and Z because somebody is going to get hurt in the process. It's like they are feeling this, and this is ego. Okay, this is really about being an ego. This card is also a card of having some conflict and some strife. So they could be experiencing, perhaps if they are in a third party connection, they might be experiencing some conflict in that connection. And they're in this space of really wanting to win. There's this battle of wills. It's like an egoic, I'm seeing it just kind of like two rams like butting heads, that there's that kind of energy that's present where it's like, I don't want to be a loser, and so I'm going to hold my ground regardless of the cost. And sometimes that can be the energy that people bring in, is that saying, cutting off your nose to spite your face. Or what's the other word? A Pyrrhic victory, where it's like you win, but at what cost? And it feels like that's what the energy that they're in right now is, that there's like, they might be just really in a space of just acting out of ego and self-centeredness right now and not thinking about the bigger picture. But the thing of it is that what they're doing is causing them this sadness and isolation. This is the Three of Swords in the traditional tarot. That's the heart with three swords piercing. It's very, very painful card. This is an energy of they're literally in conflict. They're heartbroken. They might feel betrayed. They're not doing well right now. That's just it. They're just not doing well. This conflict, this battle of egos is keeping them feeling sad and isolated. It's like they need to... they're feeling a lot of grief and sorrow. It feels like some of what they're dealing with, and some of what I was talking about with the energy shift that happened, for those of us that have been doing the work and have been on the path, it may not be as much like we move. Because I feel like I moved through a lot of the sorrow that was still lingering, a lot of lingering grief. And not just about this connection, but just about life in general that was holding on. And it feels like for them, they've been avoiding it for so long that it's finally starting to come to the surface, that you can only self-medicate for so long until things start to crash around you. So whether that is, again, like I said, substance use, whether it's like overindulging, just like watching Netflix marathons or whatever, so you don't have to pay attention to how you're feeling. It feels like at this point, they're starting to realize that unless they deal with it, it's just going to continue to linger. So it's pushed them into this place of isolation. They're recognizing that there are some things that they need to heal, which is why they're all bringing this energy of seeking the truth. It's like they're in this space of starting to look deeper within. Do you see this? It's like here, they're kind of rising up out of the sadness and isolation, and it's pushing them here. So if you see how the progression of cards is going here, it's like this circle of moving through the pain, feeling the pain for once. For God's sakes, you can't avoid it forever. And they're recognizing that, so they're seeking the truth. They're coming into connecting with their intuition, starting to feel into some of the things that they've been avoiding for a while, listening to their thoughts, listening to their heart, listening to their gut. They are starting to recognize that the relationships that they have been in, by and large, have been pretty one-sided. They're starting to recognize that they participate in this behavior. That they look at their relationships and they're like, my Dr. Phil thing. Although I don't care for Dr. Phil, he does say one thing. I guess it's like a clock, right? Even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. But Dr. Phil says to people all the time, and how's that working out for you? And so that's the thing, is that the masculine is really starting to look at themselves and say, like, how is this working out for me? I've had a series of broken relationships. I've had a bunch of failures. I don't sleep. I'm anxious. Maybe I'm self-medicating. I work too much. I drink too much. Whatever it is that they're dealing with, but it's pushing them to seek the truth now. Now they're starting to feel like this sorrow, this pain, this isolation is starting to force them to want to figure out, like, what is it about me that keeps creating these situations? So what is the feminine bringing? Look at that. Joy and stability. That's the Four of Wands. Well-deserved reward. And love, the Lover's card. Do you see the difference in the energies here? I mean, seriously, like the energies are so different right now. So if you're a feminine who's been really doing your work, good job, because you're starting to, you're seeing it. So you're bringing this joy and stability. This, again, is the Four of Wands in the traditional tarot. That is considered, this card is considered a twin flame signifier. This is this is the feminine coming into this energy of creating their own stability, their own joy, disattaching from the need to be in union or in connection with somebody in order to have the joy and stability. This is the feminine saying, like, I'm going to create my own sunshine, and I'm going to follow my own heart and create the life that I want to live, and is really bringing in this energy of being in a space of joy, of tapping into that deep well of joy and passion, creating stability in their life, pushing toward mission, doing more that feels aligned with their soul's purpose. And that's the thing that the feminine is really has really been working hard on that. And there's a well-deserved reward that's coming. So for those of you that have been putting in the effort, putting in the work, and you're wondering perhaps, is this ever going to pay off? Am I ever going to see something from this? This is saying yes, absolutely. Some of you are going to be getting a well-deserved reward here. I'm feeling like there's some people who may even be getting compensation, large sums of money that you've been holding out for, perhaps like an insurance settlement or a severance package. Something that maybe something that you were wronged, in some way that you were wronged in the past, where somebody took something from you financially. I don't know. I've never had that message come through with this before, but I'm just obedient and I run with it. So this could be that something for those of you that resonates for, that you've had something that was some injustice in the past, and that you've stuck with it. You've stuck with you've kept the faith. You've been like, I'm not going to give up on this. I'm going to continue pushing forward. I'm going to continue doing what I need to do. Stand up for yourself, whatever. And it feels like a lot. There's some people, if this is resonating, that you're going to get that justice. You're going to get that well-deserved reward. You're going to get that peace of mind that you have been holding out for. And then the Lover's card. This is just beautiful. The feminine's in a space of really just being the energy of love. This is about relating with people. This is about really coming into a space of harmony. This is also about creativity. This could be an indication of reconciliation. It could be coming together with a lover. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're coming back together with your counterpart. There can be some people who are moving away from the twin flame journey right now and moving toward like a soulmate connection, or a some people consider divine counterparts a different energy than a twin flame, so to speak. And so whatever works for you, you may be moving in a different direction and moving toward love and away from things that are as they have been for you. So that's for people who, for instance, their counterpart, the person that they have this twin flame divine love connection with, that they're not available right now. Maybe they're in a third party situation. Maybe they're married, or they're in a situation that they can't leave, or it's not possible right now for the two of you to be together for whatever reason. And then your people are like, okay, cool, that's fine. Like, doesn't mean that I don't love this person anymore, but I'm not going to live my life on pause. So I'm going to move toward love. So the feminine is really in a space of expansiveness right now is what I'm feeling. This is like really getting into a space of surrounding themselves with people that love them, making choices that are fulfilling, that are heart-centered, as opposed to being limiting and not so, what's the word I'm looking for? Like basically like making decisions, like heart-centered choices, like, do I want to do this? Does this feel good? How does this resonate with me? Instead of doing things out of obligation, out of duty. So what's ahead? Beautiful. We have the seek, detach, and believe and succeed. So here's the deal. Okay. This is the Hermit card. So for a lot of you are going to be going into this hermit mode. It's interesting because I, just as a personal note, yesterday I had a very clear prompting to sign off of social media for the rest of the year. And so I'm still kind of sitting with when I'm supposed to do it, because I'm not quite sure if it's like this week or if it's the 1st of December, like, which is like Friday or something. But I know for sure that I'm being prompted to like get off of social media for a period of time and focus on some other things. And so that may be coming up for you too. You may be in a space where you're like, I need to take a break. I need to get away from certain things, or go on a silent retreat internally, or do some things different. But this is literally a card of just being in a space of seeking spiritual wisdom. You may be led to do things like fast, or like I said, the silent retreat, whatever that might be. But people are going to be seeking. People are going to be diving deep within. And this card of detachment, this is I believe that's the Death card in the traditional tarot. No, Death is 13. This is Justice. This card is about getting to a space where you just let things be what they are. Okay, this is detachment from like the ego. Sometimes it's the ego, and people hate hearing this because the ego has positive functions, but sometimes it can keep us stuck. And it's oftentimes the ego that keeps us in this space of feeling like it has to be this way or it has to be that. And when we get into a space of detachment, it's a space of surrender, letting things be what they are. This is a beautiful energy, okay? I really feel like people are going to get to that space of really, like, literally, like this person in the card is like letting the bird soar. And you guys know that old poem, like, if something is yours, set it free. If it comes back to you, it was meant to be. If not, it never was. And so it's like, let go, make like Elsa and let it go, and let people have the free will to make their own choices. You make your own choices, give them the freedom to make their own choices, detach and move forward to whatever it is that feels right for you. This isn't, again, when I say detach, I don't mean like that you're forever saying like, this is never a possibility and I'm done with this connection forever. For some of you, that might be the case. For a lot of people, it may just be like, you know what, maybe it's not meant to be right now, and maybe in 10 years it'll come back around, or maybe in 3 months it'll come back around. But in the meantime, I'm going to let it go and just be with myself. I'm going to stop stalking social media. I'm not going to spy all the time. I'm just going to be in this space of letting things be what they are. Because when you do that, do you see this? When you detach, what's ahead for you is believing in succeeding. This is forward movement. This is things going forward in a dynamic, fast way. I feel like, again, like for a lot of you, those of you that follow these readings and that take the guidance and run with it, that you have been seeing a lot of that success. You've been seeing that happen for you. And this is saying to me, look, very clearly, if you take the steps that you're being guided to, don't just listen to me, listen to your own intuition. You're going to create your own success. You're going to see things happen for you in amazing, amazing ways. Listen to the promptings and take the steps. Detach from your egoic expectations, your egoic desires, and move forward. So let's look at the blocks and advice from Spirit. This is the reading that I do in my private readings. This is the format that I do. It usually ends up being like 40-something cards at the end, but I like to do in-depth readings. I feel like if people are going to get a reading, that they want depth. They want to get really super clear about what's happening. And so, a lot of other readers do like 3 card pulls, and I'm like, that's what I do in my mini readings. But anyway, I know that I like when the readings are super in-depth and clear. So that's why I use so many cards and decks. So, blocks. The Serpent and the Earth Keeper. This is the Mystical Shaman Oracle. And the serpent This is one of the few decks that I actually read from the book because the messages are so powerful. The Serpent says, the serpent power of the Kundalini is stirring within your chakras, gently asking you to embrace its mystery. Shed the old skin that you have been so attached to and welcome the vulnerable pink underbelly that will bring you a fresh experience of your life. Your passion and sexuality are awakening, and this can be scary. Trust the wisdom of Serpent to transform your sensual energies into beautiful, original manifestation. Gorgeous. So, again, because this is in the block, it's saying you may have been blocking that. You may have been blocking that Kundalini rising and feeling that kind of surrendering to that process. I keep saying surrender because it feels like that's what it is. Just kind of letting the process happen, not resisting, going with it. And so this is like embracing the mystery of that. The Earth Keeper says, you have outgrown your small dream of success and achievement and are ready to dream big, with possibilities beyond your wildest expectations. Take on the mantle of the Earth Keeper and reach out to a friend in need whom you may not have been in touch with for some time now. Take care of your pets and feed the strays that come by. Clean up your yard, as this is a reflection with your relationship to Earth. Grow the sacred dream and your personal life will flourish. Remember, it's not about me any longer, me being you. So, the advice cards, we have the Sun in reverse. Oh my God, and the Beloved. I love that card. Every time that one shows up, it gives me goosebumps. So the Sun in reverse says, have you been shining your light for too long? Remember that daylight is only one half of the day. The night must have her equal time, and she offers us gifts as well. Be careful not to be blinded by your light or the light of others. Do not become enamored with yourself or worship others. Beware your shadow. Revel in your midday glory, but do not be afraid of the waning of the light at dusk. So this is, remember the shadow card that came up earlier, or confront, that's what that card is talking about. So the Beloved, it says, accept the invitation to learn through the path of love. Expand your being through union with another. When you recognize the Beloved in another, you call forth their highest and purest nature. Follow the path of love. So however that resonates for you, okay? Again, it could mean the person, your divine counterpart. It could mean moving in a different direction. You'll know what resonates for you. Beautiful messages. And as usual, I'm talking a lot longer on this reading than I do in my private readings, so it's going to be longer than, but that's all right. So these are the True Love reading cards by Belinda Grace. So what we're going to look at is what is the love connection between the two of you. Is there a song like that? Love connection? So, wow. Okay, so we have connection. Then we have dating and commitment. So here's what just came through for me. Is that this connection, part of what it has done is that it has brought up patterns, okay? This card is not about dating and going out and dating, although it could be that. It's more about, in like the way that it's written in the book, it's like talking about following. This is about people looking within and contemplating their patterns, contemplating the things that they do, the repetitive issues. We all have them. That's the reality is that we all have them. We all have repetitive issues. We all have things that we continue to do in relationships. Dating the same type of person all the time and then wondering why we get the same results all the time. So this card, what this is saying to me really is that this connection has really forced people or invited people or triggered people to look at their patterns, the patterns that how they've related to people, how those patterns have served or not served them. This is about people going within and learning and healing so they can approach situations in a different way. This could also mean that people in this connection are actually very committed to it. You don't have to be in a relationship with someone to be committed to their energy. Okay, I hope you understand that somebody asked me on the channel earlier, like, how can you be in another relationship with someone else and still love somebody else? And my response is that we don't. like when people have children, we don't think that, oh, they can't possibly love both children equally. We think that they, that you have enough love for everybody. And I feel like that's the thing, is that even if your person is not, even if both people are committed to somebody else, that doesn't mean that they can't love another person. And it's not a betrayal. We have to understand that love is infinite. Love is so vast, right? That you can love more than one person at any given time, and that's okay. Okay, that's all right to love people and to love multiple people. And that's the thing, is that I'm not saying like having relationships with other people, depending on the terms and the commitment. I'm not advising anybody here to go and like into infidelity or anything like that. What I'm saying is understand that love is so much bigger than our human paradigms limit it to. And so expand your awareness and beliefs around that. But I feel like both people really are at a soul level committed to this, committed to the process, committed to the growth. So what is in your counterpart's headspace? So the person that you're thinking of, forgiveness, beautiful. Resolving conflict and inner peace. Wow, look at that. So what they're thinking about is forgiveness. They're thinking about wanting to move out of the space of being in conflict. They don't want conflict anymore. They want to reach a space of inner peace. And the thing is that if they did you dirty, or they just ghosted you and like didn't tell you anything, and they just bailed, and you've been wondering, they recognize that that's not a good energy, that that's not a positive way to handle conflict. That is not going to bring inner peace. It just continues to contribute to conflict. And so the reality is that there may be some of them, they may be thinking about reaching out and offering an apology, or wanting to explain why they did what they did and ask for your forgiveness. They may also be wondering if you can possibly forgive them. They do want to resolve this conflict, though. That's very clear, because it's keeping them from inner peace. Remember that card that came up earlier around, which was it? Fear? But the message came through earlier about them not being at peace, and that's what this is saying, is that they're thinking about this. They're thinking about, it's like the message, what I'm getting is like in AA or NA or Codependence Anonymous or any of the kind of recovery things, one of the things that they talk about is making amends. And making amends is different than saying sorry. Making amends is about making things right when it's possible. It's like if they hurt you, or they lied to you, or whatever, it's about coming back and being humble and being able to make things, bring justice to the situation in whatever way they possibly can. It feels like that's what they're doing, that they're starting to understand the only way to inner peace is going to be to come back into integrity, and part of that is going to be making reparations with people they've hurt in the past and resolving those conflicts instead of just letting them linger. So in their heart space, compatibility, sexuality, wow, and the divine masculine, beautiful. So here's the thing, they're thinking about their compatibility. They're thinking about the choices that they've made, or they're feeling into it, because this is heart space. So remember, the dating is about looking at patterns. This is like, okay, so what's the deal? Why am I, or have I created relationships and connections with people with whom I'm not compatible in the past? And if so, why? They're looking at ways to live from their heart and and speak their truth, instead of being what everybody else wants them to be. And they're looking at wanting to have the best match, the best connection, instead of just going with the easy route. Because part of being with people with whom you're not compatible is that it really actually kind of screws up your sexuality. Because if you're not compatible, if you're not connected in meaningful ways, it's going to hinder your sexual expression. That's why people that are in these kinds of some karmic situations, even though they might start out like really sexual and really sexually charged, a lot of times as they continue, they become sexless, and they're like, there is no sexuality, no sexual expression. People talk about being, starved for affection, starved for love. They don't have sex with their partners, things like that. That's because being with someone with whom you're not compatible, or with whom you're at odds all the time, isn't a way to create sexual energy. So this is literally about getting clear about how they've been contributing to their own lack of fulfill this compatibility, and choosing incompatible partners is contributing to their stifling of their own sexuality. I feel like there's this just energy of people really doing a lot of self-reflection right now. So the divine masculine is in the heart space. So what I'm getting from this is a divine masculine, whether you are or whether they're a masculine or a feminine, doesn't matter. What this is about really taking steps. Remember, Thor came up earlier, God of action. This is saying, look, they're going to have to tap into their masculine energy in their heart space. Their heart knows it, to be able to take steps forward and get into that space. This is not the distorted masculine energy that comes up sometimes. They're recognizing that they have been taking steps from and taking action from a distorted masculine energy. And now they need to take steps from the divine masculine energy, from that emperor space energy where it's like taking decisive action, moving things forward with integrity, with character, with power, and as opposed to being in that distorted masculine that might tend toward the oppressive and dishonest type of energy. So it feels like the person that you're listening for is really in a massive spiritual upgrade right now, which is great. They may not like it, but it's great. So let's get some final messages from their higher self to you. So Spirit, can we have some messages from their higher self for the listener, please? Okay, that's too many messages, Spirit. Let's get just... When they jump out like that in a lump, I don't know, I don't usually take them, so. Got one. I feel like there's one more message that wants to come out. Oh, perfect. Let's see what we have here. Sorry. The first message, close your eyes and tell yourself that you deserve to feel joyful. You can allow joy into your life regardless of the circumstances you currently find yourself in. Remember, joy came up earlier. Look deep within your heart and you will feel my love. My love for you is as deep as the ocean. Beautiful. Wait. Don't rush into it. Allow nature to take its course. And finally, surrender. Wow, how many times have I said that today? At times, we must surrender the old before something new can enter our lives. Let go, and all will work out. That's the hardest thing, guys. Letting go and surrendering is one of the hardest things in this process, but it's definitely one of the most powerful ways to shift the energy of the connection. So I'm going to move this aside, and I'm going to wrap up with one final message from the Rumi Oracle. This is these cards tend to be really long descriptions. I'll try to summarize it, but it feels like the message that wants to come through is really important. So if you can hang with me for another couple minutes, I would appreciate it. And I think it would be good for your soul. Divine Mother manifests. I've never pulled this card before. In all of the readings, never, ever, ever. So the poem is, oh, you living in the world of 6 directions, accept the gloom and accept the bliss. For those seeds buried in the ground will one day grow into fruitful orchards. It's the Rumi poem. It says, we share here this Divine Mother. You and I, we are her precious children. We were born through her love, and she shares in our losses and our gains, our tragedies and our triumphs. Her hair forms the galaxies. Her thoughts become the stars. The sun is her own warmth, and her breath is felt upon this earth, causing the roar of the ocean waves. Her voice is heard in the call of the whales and in the thrill of the birds. She is all, nurturing life into existence. She is in my reaching for you, and in your acceptance of my divine hand. She is all, this great lady. Nothing lies outside of her sphere of influence and power, compassion, and grace. This includes you and your dreams, great and small, my angel of love. It says, this oracle comes to you via the sacred grace and mercy of the Divine Mother, who is the great manifesting expression of divinity. All that is created, all that is made manifest, without exception, flows from her being. This is why it is safe to trust in life, even, most especially, the inexplicable mystery, and even the darkness that may give rise to fear and judgment within us. It is all part of her unfathomable workings. And so we pray for light, we pray for love. We honor and live our lives with its mysteries with as much integrity as we can muster. But beyond that, it is best to participate in this life with much less certainty than the mind would have us believe is necessary for inner peace. Inner peace doesn't come with understanding, it comes with trusting. Can we understand a star or a galaxy? Perhaps not. Yes, we can choose to trust in its beauty and beingness, and from it derive great energy, hope, and inspiration. The ways of the Divine Mother are not to be judged by our limited standards, rather than can be witnessed, experienced, and received. What a relief not to need to understand. What a relief to simply live with trust and know that everything will work its way out. Through those wise ways of the Divine Mother, there is a gift headed to you now. Will you receive it? That gift is one of manifestation, something you have been working towards, growing into, loving and dreaming for, perhaps for a very long time, is finally coming to fruition. Perhaps you have caught a sniff of the aroma from the divine kitchen and know the meal is nearly ready and it smells delicious. Or perhaps you have been a curious and naughty angel. You've poked your head through a door in the divine dining room, only to be captivated by the candlelight dancing and reflection upon gleaming silverware, and the subtle sounds of crystal goblets, and the finest china being laid down upon an exquisite dining table. Or maybe, dearest one, you have absolutely no clue what is to come. With your thoughts and attention so often turned to the past or the future, you may have yet to realize what is coming to life for you in this moment. Perhaps you will not gain any advance notice. You will be instead run smack into the middle of a dinner party hosted in your honor, and perhaps even feeling unprepared, wondering if this morning's yoga attire is appropriate for such a grand occasion. You are being asked to receive this gift completely and utterly. Whether you feel sufficiently worthy or not, appropriately and readily attired, it is time, and the bestowal of this gift is as it should be. Whether it seems to be in its best form or how it should be according to your opinion or the opinion of others, it is as the Divine Mother has accorded it to be. She has her wild ways, of course, and oftentimes her workings in the world are, to put it mildly, downright unfathomable. Yet somehow all things, all creations, all of life, her every working, serve love. You are one of her creations, and so is the imminent manifestation of your own heart truths. Live it, love it, receive it completely. It is yours and meant to be so. No matter whether or not things appear to be working out, they are, and you are held in the loving protection of the Divine Mother to keep you from straying from your highest path and divine destiny. There is work here for you to do upon this planet in your own unique way. It is the work of the Divine Mother, the work of love. So then allow her to care for you, even if you wonder what the heavenly minx is up to at times. So this reading was a little bit longer than usual, but I hope that you enjoyed it and that it was of service to you. So have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk with you soon. Take care. Bye.